What, this is like my 75th or 76th video? It's season 3, episode 5. A lesson from Professor Pig. You know as well as I do it was utter shite. Let's get into it.
I was a little frustrated. Batwoman, that's just a car. Somebody's watching this show. That like really annoyed me. Batwoman is still doing quite well. It doesn't even look like Batwoman.
Peter, I'm really starting to question why I'm even friends with you in the first place.
We start this episode at Slumber Party de Lesbiano with Alice and Crofy watching a movie and eating popcorn. And Crofy apparently does not have a subscription to Alice's OnlyFans account for her feet pics, because when Alice stretches out, she tells her to keep her nasty feet on her side of the couch.
Keep your nasty feet on your side of the couch.
Confirmed that Crofy isn't a female Quentin Tarantino. And seeing these two together conjures up images until they hear a noise and arm themselves with wine bottles. Instead of Alice using her always present knife or Crofy using her pistol, which would actually make sense, but logic be damned, grab the fucking wine bottles because it'll look funny to see a fucking serial killer and a military trained law enforcement officer arm themselves with ridiculously stupid weapon choices in a tense situation.
Fuck me, right?
What makes it even funnier is both of them have routinely killed and beaten foes much larger than both of them with relative ease, but now they're damsels in distress because Caroline Dries is a complete fucking idiot. Anyway, our two beautiful dolts are armed and ready for whatever evil is on the other side of the almost see-through curtain, and it's fucking horrifying. It's Batwoman. Batwoman's come to collect Alice and go to the scene of a crime, where they find a dead generic white guy dressed up like he was in the middle of a performance of the Rocky Horror Picture Show as Tim fucking Curry.
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
Why?
And our heroine suggests that Catwoman's bullwhip was the culprit in the murder. Or so says our intrepid lesbian in training, Detective Renee Montoya. So they take the body down, and forensic expert Ryan deduces that it wasn't Catwoman's whip, because fucking Cuck Fox told Ryan that Batman was banging Catwoman, and she took some of his nanotech to make her whip.
This looks like it was cut with a pocket knife.
So Ryan leaves Alice to it, and they're going to have the body taken back to Mary's abortion clinic instead of allowing the medical examiner from Gotham Hospital to examine it.
Are you fucking high?
We'll have our crack team of scissoring lesbians determine what happened to this expendable nameless white male victim who was offered up as a sacrifice to self-hating white heifer Caroline Dries. All be praised on the altar of wokeness. So Ryan leaves to go have dinner with Jada Jet, the CEO of strong black independent woman who don't need no man industries. Shit. Back at Wayne Enterprises, the stock is down 53% according to Cuck Fox, and their crisis management team has just quit. And Ryan is on the phone assuring a shareholder that her investment didn't go to fund a lesbian music festival.
I did not use your investments to fund a lesbian music festival.
It's humorous that the writers made the decision to show Ryan fielding calls directly from shareholders in an attempt to make her appear to be a competent and savvy business mogul. After all, she's the CEO and founder of
Living in a van down by the river.
So why would anyone question her acumen in regards to running the day-to-day operations and handling the intricacies of the financial departments as well? If anyone dare question her,
That's racist!
and frankly,
You've got to do better.
Ryan had said she was gonna fix everything. And speaking of fixing everything, abortion clinic Mary enters and tells Ryan that she forgot to throw away the dinner invitation from Jada Jet, the CEO of strong independent black woman who don't need no man industries. And she says she'll leave it to Jada to turn a simple email into a huge carbon footprint.
Of course she turns an easy email into a massive carbon footprint.
Why are you the way that you are?
And suddenly I'm wondering why the poison ivy vines just didn't choke this fucking bitch to death like she was a carradine in a fucking hotel room.
Baby, you ain't kidding.
Ryan and Mary argue about her going to dinner, and Ryan's genius plan is to try and blackmail Jada in response to her blackmailing Ryan.
Well,
Sophie and Alice are discussing Sophie's date with Ryan and attending Jada's dinner. Sophie looks hot, and as far as I can surmise, that is literally her only function on the show at this point. Megan Tandy's probably locked into a contract.
so
They keep on having to use her as lesbian fodder and a bumbling plot device when necessary. Alice notices Sophie's wearing a push-up bra, and she remarks that despite Sophie's objections, she's definitely going on a date with Ryan.
You're both pieces of shit. Yeah, I can prove it mathematically. Actually, let me grab my whiteboard.
Montoya calls and Alice has to go report in, which is a hilariously contrived plot point because they're openly letting a fucking psychopath just freely travel around. Even with the nanotech embedded in her, it's still fucking ridiculous. Ryan and Sophie are greeted at the entrance to Jada's house by her butler, who offers them a drink, and Ryan turns it down, probably because she didn't even understand what she was being offered, judging by the look on her face, but I digress. Sophie and Ryan are making small talk, and Ryan references the fact that her last address was her license plate. And Jada greets them and says, "You brought a guest," and Sophie immediately and proudly tells Jada, "Girlfriend. Well, strike up the band because we've got the lesbian!" Jada also tells her butler to inform the chef that they'll be joined by one more guest, and by all accounts, I believe it'll be Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking stupid. We see Jada's chef preparing the meal, and it turns out that he's Professor Pig, and he promptly cuts the head off a suckling pig and says something about a lesson and laughs.
Time for the professor to teach the class how to squeal.
We see Sophie and Ryan fumbling their way through their lie about how they met, and Ryan throws in some truth about Sophie holding her as if she was dying, which I think she did in one episode or something. We don't fucking care. Ryan comes right out and asks Jada what's going on, and Jada threatens her and tells her to stay away from Marquise, pronounced Marcus, because he's fucking stupid. And he says,
Heard there was a family dinner.
Heard there was a family dinner.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
and he's with his girlfriend, who doesn't say anything because we don't fucking need her to. Jada, and that'll be important later, Jada tells Ryan prior to his entrance that a lot of people are gonna die if they don't do exactly as she says. Meanwhile, Crofy has excused herself to use the lavatory, but in reality she's searching through Jada's office and trying to bug it. Cuckwing tells her over the comms to get out, and of course, she just keeps snooping and finds a picture of Jada with Marquise and someone else who's folded back behind it, and her comm goes dead, and Jada finds her in her office. What a fucking surprise! Marquise, pronounced Marcus, scolds Ryan for attending the gathering in the first place, and blah blah.
Yada, yada, yada.
This fucking dialogue is absolute fucking shite! Alice is examining the whip with Montoya and tells her that Ryan doesn't think it's one of the trophies. Montoya tells Alice to go through all the rogues and figure out who done it, which gives Alice a chance to read off some of the names of the rogues, and Alice finds a file on Poison Ivy, aka Pamela Isley, and Alice remarks how in-depth the file is compared to the others, and she accuses Montoya of using her and Batwoman to find Poison Ivy because she's obsessed with her and probably wants to
Scissor me timber!
you know, and Montoya doesn't deny it.
The lesbian!
Sitting around the table, our new family is examining each other as the chef pours more wine. And Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking stupid, and his girlfriend Zoe give their thoughts on the weird dynamic and the fact that Jada is threatened by Ryan talking to Marcus. And Zoe excuses herself to use the bathroom, and she becomes the first victim of Professor Pig because our writers can't have any POCs dying by the hand of a deranged white killer who wears a pig mask, so he slashes her to death in the lavatory with a fucking meat cleaver. That is literally the only reason they introduced this fucking character, was to be fodder because he's another expendable white fucking character.
That's racist!
Back at the dinner table, everyone is feeling, or not feeling, the numbing effects of the paralytic agent that Professor Pig put in their wine. And it turns out, Laszlo Valentine, aka Professor Pig, was a chef at Jet's dining hall before she ruined his career. This caused his wife to leave him and lose his children. He goes to cut up Marcus, pronounced spelled Marquise because he's fucking stupid, and of course, Ryan is super duper strong and stabs our evil white supremacist villain.
Because that's what heroes do.
All of our POCs escape the vile clutches of white supremacy for the moment. But somehow, Ryan makes it upstairs to find Zoe dead on the bathroom floor despite being drugged by a paralytic. As Ryan's upstairs finding Zoe, Valentine ties off the stab wound in his leg, and our marginalized victims are all able to walk despite being drugged by a fucking paralytic! And he grabs Crofy, but of course Ryan hits him in the fucking head and he falls down the stairs.
It's all Bullshit!
Our marginalized POCs manage to hide from the impending terror and doom of white supremacy in their very own luxurious panic room. And he pounds on the door and nobody fucking cares when Ryan proclaims, Zoe's dead. I mean, Marquise, pronounced Marcus, doesn't even fucking say anything because he knows that deep down she wasn't really an ally to the cause.
You serious?
Jada tells them that they're in her panic room and Sophie asks if Jada had a gun. Jada had a gun. And Jada tells her that she doesn't believe in guns. Before we can pull that fucking thread anymore, Marquise, pronounced Marcus, starts to have a seizure, probably induced by the paralytic or the fact that the plot needs it to happen because the writers are fucking retarded. Cut away to Montoya telling Pamela Isley's backstory to Alice. Again, because this show is about the telling and not so much about the showing. Everything is implied to have happened because our writers aren't actually writers. They're activists hired by a self-loathing cow who is so ashamed of her own melanin, or lack thereof, that we get her projecting weekly how bad white people are, unless they're a murderous psychopath who they refuse to paint as a villain, no matter how many people she's killed, for no other reason than to satiate her own bloodlust. Fuck you, Caroline Dries. Montoya tells Alice that Pamela is buried alive somewhere because she told Batwoman to do that.
Liar!
Our marginalized women of color are trying to work together to save Marquise, pronounced Marcus, because he's fucking stupid, and they have to get into the basement past white supremacy to get an EpiPen. And white supremacy's in the kitchen making a bomb because of fucking course he is. And Jada gets him out using the intercom, and her and white supremacy have a fight again, with her, of course, coming out unscathed and easily making it to the basement. Jada asks Sophie if she's really Ryan's girlfriend or if that was a lie too. Sophie says, "You want to know who I am? I'm Jordan Moore's sister." Jada laughably says, "Am I supposed to know who that is?" And Crofy goes into her diatribe regarding the human experimentation being done by Jada's company. And this whole story arc feels like it's been adopted by idiots who weren't creative enough to write something original. So they pilfered a much more interesting story that someone else wrote, but were unable to disguise it behind the clever writing and plot devices because the writers are fucking idiots. Borrowing elements from other writers is a common element in the art of storytelling because this is how things happen and evolve. They're passed from person to person and shaped and molded like clay. But these half-wits are just like, fuck it, it'll be fine. Jada, of course, denies everything and says, "I'm not the monster you've made me out to be." And Marquise, pronounced Marcus, flatlines, thankfully. Much the same way this series has fucking flatlined. Ryan is trying to procure the medical supplies, or EpiPens, from the basement, and Professor Pig is chopping through the door in a manner akin to the CW's own Dollar General version of Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Ryan finds what looks like EpiPens and passes out as she looks up through blurred vision to see white supremacy standing over her.
You are one pathetic loser.
Alice and Mary are at the abortion clinic, and Alice is making fun of Mary's plants. And Mary goes off about science and how plants are smarter than people, and
Shut the fuck up.
Alice then tells Mary that her delusions are coming back. She's seeing things again. And Rachel Scarston just chews the scenery here like usual. Mary tells Alice that the fact that her visions are coming back is karma paying her back for all the murder she committed.
What a story, Mark.
White Supremacy Pig has Ryan and wants our diverse female POCs to let him in the panic room. I think he even says, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down" at one point, or some shit like that. It was pretty bad though. And gets ready to cut her, and Jada interjects to buy Ryan enough time to inject herself with it's adrenaline, not an EpiPen. I read the thing wrong because I really didn't fucking care. Immediately gains her strength and mobility back, because that's how this works, and regains her form as the strong, independent black woman who don't need no man crime-fighting lesbian. And it's time to teach Professor Pig a lesson in lesbianism. White Supremacy Pig throws Ryan around until Crofy comes in with the assist, and then it's basically a numbers game until Marquise, pronounced Marcus, because he's fucking stupid, wakes up and stabs White Supremacy Pig in the back, and then goes full serial killer and stabs him over and over again, and proceeds to act shocked when he sees the blood on his hands. At this point, Alice figures out that Poison Ivy is in the baggie in the abortion clinic or something. I don't know. By this point in the episode, I was completely checked out mentally, but during my third or fourth viewing, I caught that Poison Ivy had infected someone else, and it's abortion clinic Mary. That's right, Mary's gonna be at least some facsimile of Poison Ivy this show.
The end is nigh. The end is nigh. F***ing run away. The end is nigh.
They've been teasing a Poison Ivy reveal that would undoubtedly be as disappointing as every other rogue that they've butchered over the past 2.5 seasons. So I obviously had my expectations set pretty low for this character's interpretation. My expectations were set as low as the standards of quality for the writing on this show. Now knowing that it's going to be Mary and her magical mystical abortion clinic Poison Ivy makes it that much more disappointing. Speaking of writing jobs on this show, to get one I think the only real qualifications are that you have a pulse and hate men and white people in general. Being a lesbian is obviously a plus during the hiring process. Also, a large amount of cognitive dissonance and severe victim mentality are also a bonus for all potential Batwoman writers. Outside of the residence of strong independent black women who don't need no man, Ryan and Crofy make idiotic small talk until Sophie tells Ryan that Jada is hiding something and that Ryan says she'll find out what it is. And she tells Crofy she'll call her tomorrow, and Crofy says,
Great first date, huh?
would you just put these two brain-dead fucks together already and stop honey-dicking the fucking shippers? Jada is at her desk in her upstairs office. Ryan enters, and Jada then returns the bug that Crofy planted in her office. And Jada swears up and down she didn't know about Jordan or the experiments or the deaths that her research team was committing and taking part in. And Jada tells Ryan that Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking stupid, is sick. Jada tells Ryan that Joker took over a bus that Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking stupid, was on as a child, and Joker had shocked Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking stupid, in the forehead with his joy buzzer. And since then, he's been a sociopath. Jada employed the Black Glove Society to gain access to the cryotechnology so she could freeze Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking stupid, until they could figure out how to fix him mentally. There's a tape of Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking stupid, pranking his dad by putting peanut butter on his hamburger. Problem is, he was allergic to it.
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit!
Jada tells Ryan that everything she's done since the day they met was to protect you, Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to be treated to the Black Joker. Not only will we be getting a Black Joker, but it's a Black Joker written by Batwoman writers on the CW, under the watchful creative eyes of Caroline Dries and Greg Berlanti. Place your bets now that Black Joker, Marquise, pronounced Marcus because he's fucking retarded, will be a tragic anti-hero because he's a marginalized POC, even though he's an executive at strong independent black woman who don't need no man industries, and he'll fight for social justice and end up leading his own chapter of BLM. Don't tell me you didn't think it, given these fucktard writers' penchant for injecting their own twisted personal political agenda into this quote-unquote superhero show that has no fucking superheroes in it at all. Da-na-na, da-na-na, na-na-na. Here we are, tvseriesfinale.com. Before we wrap this thing up, this episode 5 review, let's look at these ratings. The final ratings for this week were posted, and it is down 29%. After a 25% positive jump last week, it's a net 4% loss at 372,000 viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the second worst ratings in the history of this series in 3 seasons. Let's take a look back where we were in season 2. We can see right here, 3.46 is episode number 14 of season 2, and episode 13 posted a 399,000. So, ladies and gentlemen, this show has only gotten worse, and let's look at the percentage drops. Okay, so season 2 averaged 495,000 viewers. Season 3, you're wondering, is averaging 454,000 viewers. What did season 1 average? 995,000 viewers for the first season with Ruby Rose at the helm. I mean, look at your first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 episodes in a row, all over 1 million. The premiere, 1.86 million. I'm not saying that these episodes were good. God knows they were shit. But at least we had Kate Kane as Batwoman. This we have Bat Faker, Bitch Ma'am, Black Woman, Ryan Wilder in season 3, and it's heavily reflected in the numbers. We start at 469,000, Slight bump, 3.84% up to 487, down to 417, up to 524,000, then down to 372,000. Almost a 30% dip in 1 week, ladies and gents. That's how bad this is. And it's not showing any signs of getting better, ladies and gentlemen, as we are presented with Mary Hamilton that's going to be Poison Ivy. Yes, look at the picture here. She's scratching her arm, the exact same spot where we saw that thorn, that sticking in it when she got pulled in to the woods in Gotham Park by the vines. Yes, Mary's going to be Poison Ivy. How terrifying. And then, ladies and gentlemen, Black Joker, Marquise, but pronounced Marcus because he's a fucking retard, is going to be our Black Joker because he got a joy buzzer right to the 5 head. So, Caroline Dries, you fucking twat. This is going to be a dumpster fire I am not going to miss, and I cannot wait to see how low these ratings go. They go lower than Hermes in a limbo contest over on Futurama. Now it's your turn, folks. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How bad is Black Joker going to be? How bad is Mary Hamilton going to be as Poison Ivy? Can this get any worse? Will Renee Montoya ever fucking do anything this season? If you are so inclined that I have earned it, subscribe to the channel today, ladies and gentlemen, and don't forget to slap that like button on the way out, ding the bell for those notifications. I'm Queen of the Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all of yous. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. I'll catch you on the next one. And remember, it's always better to burn out than fade away or be Black Joker.